I said, "Hey man, hey, you got to talk about the music business because you slick kind of do it for the last year by putting some of the post up and some of the circles that you're running with. I know you've been talking about some things here that's been going on for the last year. So it kind of came to my head, said, let me get a partner of mine that definitely know about the music business from mixtape side back in the day to the way the music is being dropped out right now. So the next voice you're going to hear will be from a personal friend of mine, but somebody that been in the business. You see the background, you see what he got going on. So it's on you, my man.
What's up, world? What's up, based on characters? This is the OG Liquid. I represent Coalition DJs Tennessee, also years ago, just known as DJ Liquid. I've been DJing since, as a low man, since 1999, going into 2000, playing around with records. Had my first real deal in 2007, 18 pages contract. Been rocking and rolling ever since. I do parties, small venues, large venues, and nowadays, as a coalition DJ, I pretty much service artists, put them on the right track, get them where they need to go.
All right, perfect, perfect. So let me. I got some questions lined up for you here. It's
Hmm.
like the first one's gonna be a little softball question.
Okay.
How did you get involved? With into the DJ business?
Actually, my older brother, he was a dope boy in North and East Nashville, and he was a DJ. And when he used to leave the house, he's 5 years older than me. But when he used to leave the house, I used to go in the room, kind of play around with them records, learn about music. I was a kid then, and then later on, I got into it myself. But as he kind of started getting into more trouble, he didn't DJ no more. So
Yeah.
I kind of picked up DJing from him. Kind of got a little piece of money from him, bought my first set of turntables, and hit the ground running. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, when I was a kid, I listened to a lot of stuff right on my uncles, listen to my brother's music, old records, whether it's the NWA, the X Clans. Later on, I had a cousin from LA that first put us on the Master P. A lot of people don't know that Master P actually started off as a West Coast rapper. So he used to bring them TRU tapes down to me, and I just started soaking all that knowledge up and, getting into it.
All right, perfect. All right, my next question is for DJs. What do they actually do? What does a DJ actually do?
A DJ's main job now, be advised, it's a lot easier to be a DJ nowadays because nowadays a lot of stuff is point and click. But your
Yeah.
main goal as the DJ is to facilitate music to whatever event or party that you're at. It don't matter if it's a backyard party or you're at Super Bowl. Your main goal as a DJ is to show up, get your ass there on time, and make sure that you facilitate all the music needs for whatever event you're doing. That's the baseline example of a DJ. You know what I'm saying? Now some DJs may only do radio, which is fine, because you're kind of in like an isolated environment like this where you can broadcast right from your office or your brick and mortar. Or some
Yep.
DJs' only job is to just make mixtapes or put curate playlists. So there's different kinds of DJs in the world.
Okay. All right. So I want you to kind of explain the vibe of a Southern DJ compared to a West Coast DJ compared to a East Coast or Midwest. So kind of tell us a little bit about the differences in DJs, if there is any.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. There's definitely differences because if you're in DC, Baltimore, the DMV, you're gonna hear more go-go music. They're more dance pop. It's more like a dancey, like you remember the song "It's Time for the Percolator." It's
Yeah,
time
yeah,
for the
yeah,
percolator. That
yeah.
is actually a Baltimore. I think it's a DC Baltimore song. So it's a DMV song. So a lot of that music comes from that area. So you
Okay.
don't hear a whole lot of people really rapping over it or singing over it, but it's more like the beat, bump, boom, bump, boom. Just like also when you go to your Chicago, you hear a lot of go go. So
Okay.
it's a different, more dance vibe. Now, if you go a little bit further away from Chicago, well, not even too far from Chicago. If you go to Detroit, you got more of a Sam Smith sound. You got more of a I would really call it a techno sound, but you got more of an electronic sound.
Okay.
Now, if you go down to where I started, where I first got my start in like the Texas, Louisiana sound, in New Orleans, we get the bounce, where we might take an old R&B song that's slow and bounce it up, put a bounce beat
Yeah.
behind it, and now you got a
Yeah.
fast
Yeah.
song, something you could dance to.
Yeah.
here in Tennessee, they like a little bit of everything. I noticed that the old blues and southern songs came back. They do a lot of line dances, which is kind of crazy here in Tennessee because I can't even get people off the floor in Tennessee unless it's a line dance song, which is weird.
True. Totally.
But I can take a song that I know is a hit and play it somewhere else, and they go get off like, oh man, who was that? Oh man, turn that up. But it don't matter where you go, like in the South, especially for the younger crowds, they want to hear a lot more rap, a lot more trapping it out. Now, for a lot of people our age, if people our age book us, they want to hear that 80s, 90s, early 2000s. They want to hear some little bit of snap music. They want to hear some Break Me Off, some of Master P,
Yeah.
some of that Cash Money. They really want to get out there and do a little twerk. But also in the Midwest, you go have a different kind of sound. Also in the West Coast, you go hear more dance sound, but it's more like you know what I'm saying? In the West Coast, they still listen to a lot of G-Funk. So people like new artists like Jay Worthy, even Cardo got wings. He does a lot of beats where it's more funk sounding, but it's gangsters rapping on it, and people be out there dancing, and riding to it. You know what I'm saying? So,
Okay.
but if you take it back to the heart and you go all the way back to the New York where it first started, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to DJ Kool Herc, you know what I'm saying? Who came up here from Jamaica, and you know what I'm saying? He really took parts of them songs. Said, man, if I take a part of the song, I'm gonna give them a dance. So later on, they derive off a lot of the boom bap, the boom bap, boom bap, the boom bap. So a lot of them want to hear more lyrics and more beats behind it. So don't no matter where you go, you're gonna get a different environment wherever you go.
Okay. Now, I kind of remember back in the day, especially around the Nashville area, you had in different places too. The DJs ran the clubs. So
Mm-hmm.
you had DJ Les, I think out of Memphis. You had Sir Swift. You had
Mm-hmm.
uh, DJ C Wiz, obviously.
That's my guy.
Yeah, it had Wiz. You had Daryl J. You had
Mm-hmm.
different ones there, but then you go to other places. You had other DJs like I remember out in Texas. You had DJ Screw, and you had Michael Watts. And so the DJs felt like they ran it. Why do you feel like the DJs ran the clubs at that time?
Honestly, like when I had my time in Texas after I left Louisiana, the rappers and the DJs did own the clubs and did run the clubs. So they had a whole different set of rules. They didn't put too many restrictions on certain things. They did different specials because a lot of them guys already had the money. So they was like, I'll tell you what, man, we're gonna let everybody in free until this time, and then we're gonna start charging that at 12. But if you don't open the doors at 8 o'clock, you don't got everybody in there you need it. So everybody's in
Yeah,
there
yeah.
having a good time because they're already glad that they got in there free. It's probably the most popular spot. And another thing I like that the DJs do and the rappers that do own the clubs, they'll say, "Hey man, I'll be running club from 8 until 7. If you show up at 10, they'll call like a local rapper they know or like a well-known rapper. Hey man, can you just show your face? They the ones that kind of started the walkthroughs and things because back in the day,
Okay.
you know what I'm saying? It's like people want to see certain people in the clubs too. So the reason things ran a little different and it was more fun because the rappers and the DJs did own the clubs, just like DJ Paul and Juicy J in Memphis. They would go find an old garage or old mechanic spot and say, "Look, man, if I run a stitch quarter here and bring out my equipment, I'm gonna call one of my cousins to run the door, another cousin to put on security guard vest, and we're gonna have fun because they know how to have fun, opposed to just a person that's trying to do a money grab that owns clubs. Oh man, you can't do this and you can't do that. The DJs rapper know, look, if everybody getting in here have fun, make sure nobody come in here with a goddamn gun. We gonna be okay, and we're gonna make a couple of dollars when it's time to go. So I actually missed the era of when the rappers and the DJs did own and run the clubs. Those are real good times. Yes, sir.
I mean, absolutely. That was a good fun era here, but in our era now, it seems like things have changed. Now the DJs are more so the producers.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of got with side by side with the artists. The artists are making a really big money now, but then you got the producing side of DJing. So have you ever dibbled and dabbled into producing? Like say, I'm just going to work on a guy or work on an artist to get their music out. Have you ever done that?
Far as helping them get their music out or actually making the beat.
Actually making a beat. Let me say
Okay,
that.
no, not me per se, but I have worked with a lot of producers, and a lot of people don't know that a producer can make a whole lot of money from producing just a couple of songs if they hits, especially if you do a point sheet. See, a lot of guys that just make beats and don't produce. Some of the guys might think, "Oh man, I'm gonna sell you this beat for $200, right?" And don't do no points. They don't know that if you make a beat and you say, "Okay, let me pull out this paperwork. How about I get this many points off the song? Let's say I want to take 10 points off of a song that's 100 points. You can make residual income from being a producer. That's what a lot of people don't know. Like, just
Mm.
because I sold you a beat, it don't mean that I still can't make money off that beat. That's one thing I like about nowadays, opposed to years ago when the guy was sitting in his granny's basement saying, "Look, I'm gonna make this beat and I'm gonna sell it to you for $80. Buy." And this is just $80 you
Okay.
made, and you never did no points. But opposed to me, I never actually made a beat, but I have worked with producers and I know how it goes. So I know how back then they probably made just a couple of dollars for the day. And nowadays you can make one song and eat off of it for the next 70 years.
Mm.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Okay. Okay. So speaking of how the money flows with DJing, tell us about a typical. Let's say you get booked in Tallahassee, Florida. You going doing a weekend thing. Like, how do you figure out how I'm going to charge this promoter this amount of money on Friday night, and then on Saturday night I'm going to charge this promoter this amount. How does that work on the business side of DJing?
Well, one, you might charge for traveling and how long they need you. Now,
Mm-hmm.
let's say you in the top club in Tallahassee for Friday night, you might get $1,000, right? Just to be there for 4 to 5 hours. And the
Mm-hmm.
beautiful thing is, a lot of these venues already got sound set up. So let's say I show up and all I gotta do is plug and play for the next 4 or 5 hours. You can easily make $1,000. You know what I'm saying? A lot of stuff needs to be contracted. One thing I hate about a lot of our younger DJs, I wish I had my coalition binder in here, but we actually have contracts for our guys to say, hey, if I come to your club for 3 hours, I need at least $400 and I need to eat and make sure I got a parking spot. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But if also in your contract, let's say you in an empty building with no sound at all, you gonna say, okay, I'm gonna need an extra 300 on top of that because I need to bring speakers. I got to get there early. I got to set up sound. I got to run sound check. So a lot of these younger DJs need to know that, hey man, don't be afraid to say, hey, look, I got to get here early to set up. I got to do sound check. Even if it's their building, I still got to see how things go. What kind of crowd am I dealing with, etc. So you can always
Mm-hmm.
negotiate your price. But if you go into one of the bigger spots, let's say you working at your regular dollar store job and you made $600 for the week. If you go DJ that Saturday night, you can make $1,000 on top of that. If you DJ for that Friday night, you can probably make another $1,200. So that's the kind of money a DJ can make that's really handling his business and has a contract.
Okay.